Again, the breaking news at this hour is the U.S. men's national team has parted ways with their head coach, Gregg Berhalter. Let's have a look at his tenure in charge over the course of the years, obviously taking over in December of 2018 after the U.S.'s failure to qualify for the World Cup. The USMNT would eventually win trophies under Berhalter, beating Mexico in the 2021 Nations League final and in the Gold Cup as well. Of course, reversing that poor fortune in 2018 by qualifying for the World Cup. They would eventually go out to the Netherlands in the round of 16. And then his contract expired after that. And so you had that limbo period in between December and August when he's eventually brought back for a second spell in charge. And then won the Nations League this March, albeit struggling in that semifinal against Jamaica, beating Mexico in the final yet again, and then eliminated from Copa America in the group stage as the host of the tournament, losing to Panama and losing to Uruguay along the way. Here is the official announcement from U.S. Soccer. Thank you to Gregg Berhalter, who has been relieved of his duties effective immediately. Here is Matt Crocker's statement. Matt Crocker, of course, the sporting director of the U.S. men's national team. We're deeply grateful to Gregg for his commitment the past 5 years to the men's national team and to U.S. soccer. Gregg has earned the respect of everyone within our organization and has played a pivotal role in bringing together a young team and moving the program forward. We wish Gregg all the best in his future endeavors, and we know he will find success in his next coaching position. So gone after 5 years in charge of the national team. The Golazo Network's Charlie Davies broke down what has gone wrong under Gregg Berhalter, specifically over the course of this Copa America.
Okay, we're going to take a closer look at some of the matches that Gregg Berhalter was in charge of for the U.S. men's national team. And aside from World Cup qualifying and the build-up to the World Cup, we're going to start with his match against Wales and how he handled it. Tim Weah gets the opening goal to go up 1-0. And so this is how they started. Now, a lot of people are going to raise some eyebrows on how they finished because they gave up a penalty kick to Gareth Bale, and maybe the tactical adjustments could have been better. We see that Jordan Morris came in, Haji Wright, Kellen Acosta, and Brandon Aronson, along with Yedlin. And the puzzling move for me was bringing on Jordan Morris, but also, more importantly, Kellen Acosta coming in for Yunus Musa, because you want to keep possession. You have the 1-0 lead. The midfield was not the issue for the U.S. men's national team, and it felt like they gave this game away. They gave Wales the opportunity to try and put balls in the box, which is what they were playing for, to Gareth Bale's advantage, which he won the penalty, which Walker Zimmerman was guilty of committing that foul. They ended up with a 1-1 draw. Still a solid point to start the competition, but it felt like they left 2 points on the board. Moving on to another match where I think we were left underwhelmed, to say the least, is here we have the Copa America match against Panama. And so, yes, we all know Timothy Weah gets the red card early in the first half. But guess what? They were able to come back and still score through Fuller and Balogun. And at that moment, you know as a group, we got to come away with the result at the very least. Now, some poor defending, and I think Tyler Adams is guilty of coming out wide and creating this space here, which Weston McKennie was caught in no man's land, and Panama equalized. But you're going into the half 1-1. The instructions for the team has to be that if we're not winning this game, we're certainly not losing this game. And we're not playing to lose, we're playing to win. And Gregg Berhalter makes a decision to bring on Cameron Carter-Vickers. Now, this is the decision where people are left puzzled because Cameron Carter-Vickers had a very poor substitution against Colombia, and now this is what we're looking at. Now, from this standpoint, we know how Panama plays. They love to get wide, whip in crosses. They love the counterattack in transition. But this, to me, screams we're conceding the midfield and we are just defending. And in the end, this is where the goal comes from, right here in this area at the near post. Horvath had to come in, of course, because Matt Turner was injured in that first half. Was Matt Turner healthy for the goal and the initial goal in the first half? Because I felt like he could have got to it, didn't have the push off. Yet to be determined. But what we do know is The U.S. didn't come away with the result they needed to progress, which made the match against Uruguay that much dire. And obviously, it didn't work out. So this substitution here, I would not have agreed with, because it signaled to the team it was super defensive. And on top of that, Cameron Carter-Vickers wasn't in good form coming into it. So it's one of those things where this was the moment that the U.S. crashed out of Copa America for me. And now we're going to look at the last match that where they played against the Netherlands in the 2022 World Cup. And they started off with an incredible opportunity from Christian Pulisic that we saw in the box early in the game with his left foot, and he just misses. But it was the decision to start Jesus Ferreira. He comes off at halftime. The decision to start Walker Zimmerman over Cameron Carter-Vickers, and Cameron Carter-Vickers had a fantastic match against Iran. And then you could say the tactics, because ultimately, yes, the Netherlands had all these players who are playing at big clubs and they were in form, but they knew how the U.S. were going to play. They knew it was going to be predictable, and where they hit them is at the top of the box. We saw all the space that was left in this space, in this area, and that's where they capitalized. And it was tactically where Van Gaal felt like, I knew what the U.S. were going to give me, and we took advantage of it. And that's how we saw this young U.S. men's national team get defeated in the knockout rounds in the World Cup. But a valiant effort, and I think we were all proud of how far that group had come. But now, okay, now we got to take it up a whole nother level. Needless to say, now we're moving to the Nations League semifinal against Jamaica. Here is how we were looking at this game. Jamaica really made it difficult for the U.S. We're talking about positions. We're talking about building off of what they did in that World Cup to give everyone hope and to get them in the right direction ahead of that Copa America. Here you can see they're trying to figure out ways. The building out of the back, everyone is not spaced. And look at the giveaway here, the vulnerability. And that's fine when you're playing against an inferior opponent and you foul them right away. So in that area, you're saying, okay, now we got to come up with some new ideas. Again, predictable. You got the three. They know that this is the person that they're playing to. Yunus Musa. Now Weston McKennie checks. Look at here. Joe Scally. He's hiding. He needs to come here to receive the ball. He's hiding. And look at the spacing. There's not enough connectivity here in the midfield. Again, it goes wide. Two players in the same area. There's just not enough movement. This is where you want to get to if you're a striker. It's that run in and out, somebody pulling in. And now look at Jamaica in good positions against better teams, which we saw. They get exposed, especially in the friendly against Colombia. Again, building on the back. Gio Reyna coming so deep. This is the guy you want up here in that number 10 role. You don't need two to build out of the back against Jamaica. Now, another part of it is it seems disjointed. They lose the ball because the ball isn't moving around. They're not letting the ball do the work against the Jamaican side. And now Freeze here. Look, all in the same line, exactly in the same space in the field. This is all empty. It makes it so much easier for one player to mark two, one player to mark two. These guys can help out. It just is not enough options for this player who's breaking out of midfield, which is exactly what you want right here. All the space for him to run into, but you need options here. You need options here, here. Instead, they're all together. And I get it. It's in the dying moments of this match, and you're trying to come up with the match, the equalizer, because they were down to Jamaica, if you remember, from that early goal from the Jamaican side. Now here, Christian Pulisic gets on the ball. Again, 3 in a row, but now he comes out wide. Ricardo Pepi, Haji Wright, good run. And here he gets the goal, smashes it in. But again, we watched this match, and it took an own goal off a corner kick for the U.S. to get into that game, and then they ultimately pull away. But it just wasn't convincing. And you're seeing a number of the faults, the tactical adjustments that maybe the U.S. came into the match prepared. But as we all know, in matches, different questions are asked. And can you make the necessary adjustments to get the most out of the group? And these are some of the moments that we're left wanting more.
Great stuff there from Charlie. And you look now at the most matches managed by all-time U.S. men's national team coaches. Bruce Arena also in 2 stints atop of the list. Jurgen Klinsmann was in charge for most of the previous decade. Bora Milutinovic in the 90s, obviously leading the U.S. into a home World Cup in 1994. Bob Bradley, and then Gregg Berhalter, whose tenure ends after 74 games in charge, has been the full-time coach since the start of 2019. And again, if you're just joining us, Gregg Berhalter is out as the U.S. men's national team manager. And of course, big news for U.S. soccer as the decision comes after the U.S. men's national team crashed out of Copa America in the group stage, marking the first time in 20 international tournaments on home soil that the U.S. failed to advance past the group stage. Berhalter's second tenure in charge lasted just 14 matches. In a statement, U.S. Soccer said that it has already begun a search for a replacement.